Okay, so let's get started. These video notes are on multiplying and dividing rational expressions. So let's just do some simplifying first, because before you can multiply and divide, you may want to simplify your rational fraction. So here we have a rational expression. Okay, this expression right here is a rational expression because of this line. Okay, rational, okay, is an expression with a division symbol here. So it's like a fraction. It's like a fraction. So here it is. So to simplify this, what we want to basically do here is, since this is a group on the top and a group on the bottom, since these groups are different, we cannot cancel anything. Okay? You cannot cancel groups unless the groups are the same. This is a group, this is a group, and they are not the same. So we cannot cancel them. So what we want to do is we want to factor. That's the first thing we want to do, is we want to factor. So let's start off by factoring this top group. So looking at the 8 and the 2, I can take a 2 out of both of them, so I'm going to factor out a 2. Now I have 3 x's here and we have 2 x's here. So the most x's I can take out are 2 of them. So I'm going to take out 2 x's out of that one, out of both of them. Okay? Now remember, factoring, when factoring, it means to divide. Okay? So 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now when we have like bases, we subtract the exponents. So 3 minus 2 is 1. Now I don't need to write the 1 in here. There's a 1 here, but you do not need to write it. Okay? I'm going to bring the minus over. Alright, here we go. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Okay? X squared, factoring an x squared out of an x squared, well, they cancel each other out, so we're left with that. Okay, so number wise, can I factor a number out of both of these? No. How about a letter? Yes, we can factor 1x out of both terms. Okay, so if I factor an x out of this term, we're going to get the 4 comes over. 2 minus 1 is 1. Minus, and if I factor x divided by x, they cancel. Remember, anything divided by itself is 1. Okay? Now, do you see anything that can be canceled now? Hopefully you see that these two groups are the same. Since the groups are the same, we can cancel the groups. Okay? The other thing you should notice here is, if I write this out, we have 2 times x on top, and we have an x on the bottom. So we can cancel out an x on the top and an x on the bottom, and that leaves us with 2x. If there's something you don't understand on the notes, please be sure to ask me in class on Tuesday when we get back. Okay, let's take a look at number 2. You might be thinking, whoa, how do I factor that? Well, remember factoring by grouping. So we're going to go ahead and group the first 2 together and the last 2 together. So I'm going to factor out a 2 out of these 2 terms, and I'm going to factor out an x squared out of these 2 terms. So 2 and an x squared. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. X cubed divided by x squared is x, because remember 3 minus 2 is 1. Okay, minus comes over. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And x squared divided by x squared is 1. Okay, then we bring the plus over. And this time I'm going to go ahead and factor out a 7 out of both terms. So factoring out a 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1. So I'm left with 1x minus 21 divided by 7 is 3. Okay. Reminder, this is the difference of two squares. That's a perfect square because x times x is x squared. That's a perfect square because 3 times 3 is 9. So factoring that, hopefully remember, breaking the x into x times x, like we said, breaking the 9 down to 3 times 3, and then remember 1 has to be correct, plus, and 1 has to be minus. All right. Let's rewrite this. The 2x squared plus 7 go together. And then we only need one of these x minus 3's over x plus 3, x minus 3. Okay, see anything we can cancel now? Sure do. This group and this group are the same, so they can cancel. And then we're left with this. And that's going to be our answer. We could try to factor this, but it's not factorable. Moving along, number 3. All right, now we're jumping in. The dot means to multiply. So before we want to do that, we want to factor everything. We want to factor everything. So let's start by factoring this. So this is quadratic, so I'm going to go ahead and use my x factor. Hopefully we're good at this and I don't have to explain this too much to you right now. If you do need more explanation, please come in for tutoring or ask me during class. That would be even better. Okay, so we're going to end up with 2x minus 3 times 1x plus 1. Okay, that's this one. Now let's factor this one. We're multiplying. So let's remember, when multiplying fractions, you multiply straight across. So I'm going to go ahead and factor out a 4 and an x. 4 goes into both of those and an x goes into both of those. Okay, so 4 divided by 4 is 1, x squared divided by x is x. Bring over the plus. Taking an 4 divided by 4 is 1, x divided by x is 1. Okay, so that's our numerator. Denominator. So we can take an x out of both terms. X squared divided by x is x. X divided by x is 1. Remember, anything divided by itself is 1. Okay, this we cannot factor. It is a group, so we need to put grouping symbols around it. Okay, remember, when multiplying, we multiply straight across on the numerator, straight across on the denominator. Now we can do some canceling. So I see some groups here that I can cancel. I see another group that I can cancel. I also see, remember, this is 4 times x. Okay, so if I wanted to, I could rewrite this as 4 times x separately. So that means that this x is going to cancel with this x. So that leaves me with 4 times x plus 1. And let's go ahead and leave it like that. Let's not distribute. Let's just leave it like that. Let's leave it in factor form. Okay, moving along. Number 4. Here we go. I'm going to pause it while I factor all of these. All right. Factored everything. If you have any questions about my factoring, how I got these, please ask me in class. Bring your video notes back to my desk, or when I'm walking around, ask me a question. All right, so let's do some canceling. This group cancels with this group. This 4 cancels with this 4. This x cancels with this x. This group cancels with this group. And we're left with x minus 2. Okay? Turn it over. All right, the rule for dividing. First thing you want to do is you want to make this into a fraction. So put it over 1 if it's not. Okay? Next thing you want to do is you want to bring down the first ratio. Okay? Second thing you want to do is you want to change division to multiplication. Last thing, before you multiply, you want to do the reciprocal of the second ratio. So again, you may want to write these steps down. You bring down the first ratio. You change division to multiplication. And then you do the reciprocal on the last ratio. Okay? Let's go down here to number 6. What is the first thing we do? That's right, we bring down the first ratio. What's the second thing that we do? That's correct. We want to change division to multiplication. What's the third thing that we do? Reciprocal. Reciprocal. Okay, denominator becomes the numerator. Numerator becomes the denominator. Okay, then we would factor, cancel, get our answer. All right, here we have division and multiplication. So follow the steps. Remember PEMDAS. PEMDAS states that we do multiplying and dividing from left to right. So in this case, we're going to start over here and move from left to right. So first step. Second step. Third step. Okay? Then we're going to be multiplying. This stays the same. All right, that was Joe. He can't find his binder. Would y'all keep a lookout for Joe's binder? It's black. It says ROTC on it. He'd appreciate it. All right, so anyway, on Monday when you guys come in, why don't you go ahead and I'm going to look to see if you wrote this down correctly, okay? And hopefully you can get a start on that claw that I gave you, so you can get it done on Tuesday before you leave. So get a start on it. You don't have to finish it. See you guys on Tuesday. Hope you're having a great 3-day weekend.